This is part 3 in our series about information literacy. So, many members of our modern society are not aware about how many details are being kept about your daily activities. The government is the largest collector of information in the history of the globe, and they have massive storehouses of data about their citizens' activities, and corporations collect huge amounts of information about you, and they either keep it themselves or sell it with the ultimate intention of figuring out how to get more money out of you. So this whole process is called big data, collecting massive amounts of data that can be mined to predict trends and to influence the things that you do. And so Andrew Lewis has a fantastic quote: "If you are not paying for something, you are not the customer, you are the product being sold." So when people use Google's search engine, which is a great search engine and is the most popular search engine, you think, hey, this is great, it's free, and they're working for me. No, in fact, actually, they're making money off of you because, again, they're tracking and measuring every single little thing that you do. How long are you on the page? Where does your cursor move, your little mouse movements? How long do you stay on the site in general? What other sites do you go to? If you purchase products, what do you browse through and not buy, and what do you buy? And so a few years ago, Facebook actually got in trouble for collecting information and even modifying posts as part of a sociology experiment. And when people found out about that, they were really disturbed that they could have been looking at doctored posts. And we found in the last election that there's a great possibility that a foreign country was also posting as fake individuals and trying to influence our feeds. So what this comes down to is there's shadow companies like the biggest active company is Axiom, and they have 1,500 data points on 96% of American households, which they then, as their business, sell to other companies to, again, influence their decisions about how to get you to purchase more products and pay more for the products that you have. So you may have some sort of mom and pop local shops in your town, and it's probably unlikely that they're doing massive amounts of data collection. Although many do use Google Analytics to analyze the activity on their websites, and so of course that does feed into one of these really large data collectors. But the big box companies like Targets and Walmarts and those kinds of companies are experts at collecting this type of data. And whether you're online or in the store, they're watching every move you make and every purchase that you make. And so when you're in the store, they may be recording through the cameras which way you turn when you walk into a store. And so they actually know that 80% of the people, if they have a choice, turn to the right. They look at what shelves you pause in front of, which music makes you buy more. So if you're in a grocery store and you notice that they have sort of a slow elevator music playing, it's because if they slow down your movements, you will actually buy more. You spend more time looking at what's on the shelves and you say, oh, here's an impulse buy. I'm going to pick this out and throw it in my cart even though I wasn't planning on it. And they make more money. And then they also can make some interesting decisions about what items that are for sale are placed next to each other on the shelves. And they know exactly which shelf lineup creates the most sales. So this data is coming from Walmart from a few years ago. They tried to figure out, well, what's the best way to sell toothpaste? What item, when we put this next to, will generate the most sales? And interestingly enough, they found out it wasn't toothbrushes or dental floss. They found out if they put it next to tuna fish, that they would sell the most toothpaste. And we've all been through one of these major weather events where there's a big storm coming and everybody's got to buckle down and stay at home for a couple of days. And so Walmart was interested in what sold the best if they put it right out in the front of the store. And you would think it would be something like flashlights or batteries or water. And it turned out it was beer and Pop-Tarts. Those are the most popular purchases before a big storm. They also use some of these decisions or this data to discriminate against you. So, for example, they know that if you buy a carbon monoxide detector or the little pads that go under the legs of your furniture so that you don't scratch your floors, they know that you will almost never miss your credit card payment. And so they will give you interest rates or that are more favorable, or they'll actually give you, a larger credit line. It works the opposite way as well. They know that if you buy a Chrome Skull trailer hitch, basically a car accessory, they know you're very likely to miss a credit card payment, and therefore they're going to jack up your rate and lower your credit line. And so that can affect you negatively for years. Also, these stores, when you're shopping online, they know what kinds of purchases you make. So they know you will only buy things with coupons, or you don't care, you will buy an item as soon as it comes out, regardless of the price. And they will use those data points as well as data points like your location. And so in Connecticut, they think, well, we have a higher average income, so we're going to charge you more. And so you could be paying more for the same item even if you're just 20 minutes away from another consumer who's across the state border. This gets really scary when they start combining their massive amounts of big data and the decisions that they can make from that data with our advanced knowledge of neuroscience. Our knowledge of how the brain works has increased dramatically, and even just the last 5 years. And now we're getting to the point where it's almost science fiction what they can do. So a few years ago, they did a study at an Asian mall to figure out how to get pregnant mothers to buy more. They wanted to do that because new parents are just cash cows. They will buy and buy and buy, and they're very loyal customers. So they did a study, and they figured out that newborn mothers would buy more if they pumped in a very pleasant scent. It was baby powder and sherry, and also if they would play some soothing music from the mother's childhoods. And this worked great. It increased sales, but they found a secondary event. After the babies were born, if they smelled those scents or heard that type of music, they would stop what they were doing and would calm down instantly. So they could be in full tantrum mode, right in the middle of just screaming and crying, and they would hear that music or smell that scent, and they would stop immediately. And so what they figured out is, if you are comfortable in a store, as these childs are going to be comfortable in this mall because it's a familiar scent and familiar sounds, you buy more. So they figured out how to influence these people's buying habits before they even came out of the womb. And that's pretty crazy. So another example is a Minnesota Target was sending ads out to a very conservative family. And the father called up the general manager of the store complaining because they were sending targeted ads to his teenage daughter regarding pregnancy and baby products. And so he told this manager, look, I don't know what kind of lifestyle you lead, but we're not into premarital sex in our house, and our daughter is not going to be engaging in these activities, and she's not going to be having a child at this young age and before she's married. So the general manager apologized profusely, and like a good manager, a couple months later called the father to make sure that the ads had in fact stopped. And what he found was the father apologized to him because the daughter was in fact pregnant. So Target knew what was going on in this man's house better than he did. And how did they know this? Well, they collect so much data that just like Walmart or any of these other big box stores, they can connect seemingly unrelated facts. They know when you're going to go on vacation, when you're getting a divorce, when you have a new job, just from the purchases that you make. And so they knew this Minnesota girl was pregnant, not from her buying a pregnancy test or something obvious, but 3 weeks apart, she bought unscented lotion and nutritional supplements. And so that's a pretty big jump to make, but the realization that they could come up with such a targeted, accurate way to provide ads, and again, capture one of these cash cows, a new parent, scared a lot of people. And so what they did afterwards was they backed off and they made sure that they still put targeted ads into some of these flyers that they were sending to households, but they would also mix in things that the people didn't care about. So there would be some pregnancy products in there, but there would also be things about a lacrosse stick and, a new car jack or something. So you might think about, well, how do I fit into this crazy world and how do I protect myself? You can't collect as much data as Target or Amazon, and you just don't have the computing power to be able to process through it if you did. And so I like the saying, in God we trust, all others bring data. You can find ways to get some of this data from some of these organizations and to make it work for your life.